Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster and I thought I'd carry on with my axe mod series, and today what I want to do is take a look at the edge on this axe head. So obviously in my last video we completely changed the shape of this blade. I know some people think that it's sacrilege. As I said before, it's a cheap axe head and it was something that I've been wanting to do for a while, just make a sort of a completely different style axe, and I'm still quite pleased with the outcome. Now as I said, the blade itself came very blunt. I'm not sure if this is picking up well enough on the camera, but there's a few little marks and dings and things like that in there, and the idea of what I'm going to do today is basically just to kind of smooth those out and then resharpen this blade. Now my intention is we're going to start off with this, which is a file. Don't necessarily always need it, but when you've got a few marks like that, it just helps get those little dings out, and then I'm going to move over to either this, which are my diamond stones, or my axe puck. I do tend to use both, depends on what I'm doing. One of the big benefits, even if you're not doing an axe mod like this, but you just picked up a cheap axe that's not very sharp, this process will work exactly the same way, and if you are going to rehandle it especially, I find it a lot easier to sharpen an axe, certainly for the initial sharpening, if it's not on the handle. It just means that you've got a little bit more control, a little bit more versatility. You can almost treat the axe as a knife, so you can get your hand, you can move around without having sort of the haft getting in the way. What I'm going to do, guys, I'm just going to move the camera a little bit closer in, and we'll make a start. Okay guys, so I've got the axe head set up just in my little vise. I've got a little chock of wood under there just to give it a bit of support, and we're going to start off using the file. Now just a quick point on this, you won't need to do this very often, because when you're using your file, what you're actually doing is taking off quite a lot of material from the axe, and obviously you don't want to do that, otherwise your axe won't last as long as it could do. But when you've got little knocks and dings in this, or if you need to reprofile the edge, the file is where you want to start. And what you should be doing, rather than sort of sitting there and doing this, or circular motions, or up and down, what you want to try and do is keep one controlled, smooth sort of cut. So basically like this. And the benefit that will give you is you'll get a nice even grind, nice even bevel on there. If you start kind of going up and down like this, you've got the chance of moving around without realising it. So really you want to be going like so. And also, just another quick point, you should be going from the front of the blade towards the back of the head. So in this direction, not coming along like this. That way you'll get a nice even profile, and again, a bit like sharpening anything, you kind of want to give, I don't know, maybe a dozen strokes in one direction, then flip it round, and then go from the other side, so you're keeping the grind even the whole way through. Okay guys, so we've cleaned up all the lumps and bumps. Hopefully you can get a fairly good view of the head there. All of the little nicks and marks have been taken out, which is really good. And the next thing really is to sort of carry on with the sharpening process on this blade. Now you've got two options really. You can use a bench stone, or you can use a puck. If you don't have a puck, a bench stone's absolutely fine. As I say, I tend to use sort of a bit of both, but I'll give you the demonstration of both of them. So really you're going to use this exactly the same as if you're using or sharpening a knife blade. So you're going to get it up, you're going to get the blade in line, and literally just run it across. Now there are two ways of doing this. You can either do it like this, or what you can do is actually take this out, and in a circular motion just run it down the blade like that. Both of which are fine. Also, I mean, if you are keeping it inside your little holder, you can kind of do a figure of 8 pattern. It really all just depends on what your preference is. Now what I'm going to do, let me just move this camera back slightly so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. And if you do have a puck, this is the slightly coarser side because we haven't got quite down to the fine detail yet, and I find it easiest just to find a nice stable surface, hold it with your hand, and with circular motions finding the edge, so you should be able to feel the edge when you've got the stone on there. And this works in exactly the same way as if you're sharpening a knife. So once you've lined up your bevel and you're putting that pressure on, you can tilt the stone ever so slightly until you feel it biting in and starting to shape that blade, or starting to shape the edge, should I say. So I could start here, I'm getting nothing, and as I tilt the stone round at about this point here, so there's no good, and it's about here I can feel the edge starting to bite, and that's where I want to sharpen. So we've made some pretty good progress here, guys. Hopefully you can kind of see here we've kind of got that bevel in, got quite a good edge on here already. Now before I move over to stropping, there's another little thing I just wanted to show you. Now this is just one of my little small strops, and this is some wet and dry paper, and I'm just using this as a backer almost. And before I move on to stropping, just to tidy this up a little bit, what I'm going to do is just in a sort of circular motion take this wet and dry paper and just kind of give this edge and the blade a little bit of a polish. Doesn't need to be too pronounced, it just sort of clean it up a little bit, ready for when we come to strop. But don't have to do this by any means, it's just something I like to do just to clean things up, and it also won't do any harm to the edge either. And really all it's going to do is just tidy things up a little bit. Get rid of some of those tool marks and just generally make the edge look a lot nicer. So it's more of an aesthetic thing really, but it will help get rid of some of the burrs and certainly some of the tool marks. So I've just put a little bit of honing compound onto my leather strop. It's got a board backing just to give it a bit of stability, and all we're going to do is just strop this blade to give it a final finish. Now you can have it down on a piece of work like this and you can bring it back on itself, no problem whatsoever. I just tend to find that because you're trying to get rid of a few tool marks, I mean, you know, it won't get rid of all of them by any means, but if you put it on a flat surface like this and actually use the backing to allow you to put a little bit of force on there, it does actually help just to bring that kind of polish up. It's not going to be a mirror finish by any means, but it will certainly get rid of all of those burrs, and it will just tidy up that blade, just make it that little bit sharper. And the thing with stropping, guys, is that you can spend as much or as little time as you like on this. Now sometimes I will spend, you know, an hour or more kind of just doing that final real mirror polish finish. You don't have to do that by any means. And one other thing I was going to say is, hopefully you can see on here, this dark patch here is actually metal that's been abraded away by this honing compound, and that's what you're looking to do. See if we can get that a little bit better. That's pretty good. So hopefully if I can just get this in shot, a little bit more of a polished finish than we had before. And all in all, this has turned out quite nicely. Right then guys, so that is it. We're pretty much done. We've sharpened up this, what was a beaten up old axe head. Hopefully you can sort of see on the camera there, it's not picking up particularly well on the small screen I have here, but we've got a sort of a semi-mirrored finish. Really nice sharp edge on this. I'll give you a quick demonstration. So I've got a bit of offcut here. and it's taking off some really nice, sort of fairly fine shavings. And again, as a little carving axe, all it really needs now is a handle, and that's what I'm going to be doing hopefully on one of my next videos. Need to find the time for it, but I've got the handle sort of part made already. I just need to sort of finish it off and then sort of then fit it onto the head. So I hope it was useful, guys. As I said before, even if you're not sort of heavily modifying an axe like I have here, if you've got an old one you've picked up or a little cheap one from a car boot sale or something like that, this process is really good for bringing an old battered axe back into a usable condition. So comments and questions in the box below, hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you'll all join me next time. Thanks, guys.